Hello, coaches. I am very excited to welcome all of you to this conversation. We have coaches, therapists, consultants, leaders, and many different professionals joining today. In fact, we are over 100 professionals joining from all around the world. So I'm very excited to co-create a dialogue with all of you and understand the emerging trends that's happening in our profession. And I think it's very important. And thank you very much for making time and joining us live. So I would like to invite all of you to engage with us. Please use the chat room. Feel free to introduce yourself, share any professional network links to connect with each other. And also, as we begin our conversation, feel free to share your insights. Even maybe if you have any questions, feel free to send them in the chat room so that we would be able to surface some of them. And if you are in a space that you can speak, I might even invite a few of you to share. So as we begin this very, very exciting gathering today, I would like to invite you uh, to a space of recognizing and acknowledging our panel today. We have three really well-established, esteemed colleagues, those who have a very strong background in coaching and many other capacities. So I'm very excited to invite them and all of you into this conversation, discussing something that is very important to us at this very point of time, the evolving landscape of AI and coaching. We know that there's a lot of information around us, and we also see things on social media and official media. And there may be some doubts in your mind, what does this really mean? And maybe you're already utilizing AI in your practice. So I'm very curious to learn from our resource speakers as well as to hear your thoughts. So as I begin, I would like to remind you at Ignite Global, we love bringing in topics that are relevant to professional coaches, consultants, therapists, leaders, so that we can be well informed how our profession evolves. And also, if you look around, there's a lot of things happening in the coaching space at the moment. So this is an effort to bring all of our community together and co-create some understanding of how our profession would look like as AI is being introduced to the profession. Not just only coaching, I think every profession around the world. And I also invite, if you do not intend to speak, please keep your microphone muted unless you're invited to speak and share your thoughts and insights. So coaches, this webinar includes one resource development CCE, and we will share the link for applying for the CCE 10 minutes before we end this session today. This is a 1 hour session. So without further ado, let us dive in and get to know our panelists today. And when it comes to Benita, it is such an honor to have you, Benita. And also I have both a personal introduction and a professional introduction to you. The reason being, one of the very main reason why I am here today as a professional coach and talking to all of you and co-creating because of Benita. Benita inspired me as my coach at a young age. And once I understood the power of coaching, I decided to come into this field. And since then, from that very moment, Benita had been my mentor and even just currently my supervisor. So I'm very honored to have you in this space. And thank you for joining us, Benita. And also the coaches who co-create with me on a regular basis through your professional development. I tell you a lot of stories about my mentor. So I introduce you to Benita Stafford-Smith, my mentor, and I would like to now introduce you to her officially. So Benita Stafford-Smith is an ICF Master Certified Coach, accredited coach supervisor, and certified systemic team coach and culture coach with over 6,000 coaching hours across 3 continents. Since 2016, she has supervised individuals and team coaches, and currently she manages the coaching practice for an HR consulting firm. And Benita works with leading organizations and executives teams who achieve clarity and create coaching cultures that prioritize people. And with that, we have Dr. Claire Beckett McElroy. And Dr. Claire is the founder of Beckett McEnroy Consultancy, a global leader in coaching, leadership development, and education. Recognized with the 2023 ICF Coaching Impact Award for Distinguished Coach Education, Dr. Claire has made significant contribution to the coaching profession through innovative frameworks like Coach Me coaching model, which has been adopted worldwide. As an ICF Master Certified Coach with additional credentials, Dr. Claire has over 4,000 hours of coaching experience and mentors coaches globally. And then we have Fran. So Francisca Brenning. Fran is a professional coach who recently completed her MBA in coaching, mentoring, and leadership. And her dissertation focused on the transformative impact AI coach bots are expected to have on the coaching industry and professional coaches with over 30 years of experience working in diverse international environments and robust backgrounds in helping individuals navigate personal professional transitions. Fran has spent the past 5 years working as an independent professional coach. She's an ICF ACC and holds an array of coaching certifications. Her observations on the integration of AI in coaching are informed by her comprehensive research and practical experience, positioning her as a thought leader in the evolving field. So this is a very brief introduction to my colleagues who are joining today. And also I would like all of you, those who are joining us online, and also those who are watching this recording later on, to start thinking about what does your role as a professional coach look like in this evolving landscape of AI being integrated into our practice. So with that, I would like to invite the three distinguished panelists to introduce themselves a little bit so we understand them better. And I would love to hear from you, panelists, specifically an introduction to yourself, as well as your connection to AI, your passion to, and your work within integrating coaching and AI. So I would like to invite Benita first.
Okay. Thank you for that beautiful introduction, and thank you for everyone who's attending. Lovely, lovely to see you all. What I can say is about coaching is I'm passionate about all things coaching, and AI is becoming a thing in coaching, whether we like it or not. And a little known fact that many people don't know is that I used to be in technology sales in the Unix world, selling across Canada and the US. So that was many years ago, but that's where my interest in technology originated, and the fire there keeps burning. That's it.
Thank you, Benita. Dr. Claire, would you like to go next?
Again, to reiterate Benita's words, thank you so much for setting this up and for everyone here. So one thing that I found really interesting to do with AI is integrating it into coach education to enable coaches to use the tools from the get-go with their clients. And also that thing of, there's so many out there, trying to enable coaches not to be overwhelmed with trying to catch up with all the new technology. The coaching I've done is globally, predominantly in the Middle East, after living there for, can't quite believe it, but 26 years. And that's with a lot of organizational coaching, including team coaching. So thank you for the invitation.
Wonderful, Dr. Claire. Thank you. Fran, over to you.
Hello everybody. Thank you for the invitation, Fernando. And similar to Benita, I've always been interested in technology, how technology evolves. And at the same time, I've always loved communicating with people and helping people. So the two came together with the AI and the coaching. When I started coaching and with AI coming to the fore, and then I got curious about how the two can be combined or how they work together. And as Fernando said, I've just recently completed my master's degree And I chose this topic, is how would AI coach bots, specifically not AI, but actually the coach bots that also coach, affect the human coaches and how they're perceived going forward.
Thank you, Fran. So, coaches, as you notice, there are many commonalities between our panelists today. They are all professional coaches. They have really diverse backgrounds and great experience behind them. And also they are passionate about AI and coaching. And one of the things that you heard when Fran speaking, the publication that she created as part of the thesis of her master's program. And something that is common between Dr. Claire and Benita is also that you also have contributed to a publication recently. I would love to hear from Benita and Dr. Claire a bit about this specific publication.
So I will invite Dr. Claire to begin.
So the publication was a compilation really of different topics, different chapters around this topic, and it was edited by Jonathan Passmore and Sam Isaacson. And the chapter that myself, Benita, and also I forgot Michelle's surname, Benita.
Lucas.
It'll come. Lucas, thank you. And also that Michelle Lucas worked with us on was research around technology, or coach tech, as the word is in the book, in terms of coaching for communication, you know, connection, but also for learning and reflection. So it involved asking research questions to coaches and supervisors. Over to you, Benita.
Thanks, Claire. The other thing I'll add is what was so interesting, I think, about the work we did. And I will say that it's thanks to Claire that I'm part of that book, because she invited me to write with her and to conduct the research with her, which was absolutely fascinating, is that the fear around AI and coaching was prominent, but a lot of it I found interesting enough was a lot of people didn't know they were already using AI, and that a lot of people were the biggest challenge, well, from my perspective, the biggest challenge that they faced was that they had to continually learn. Once they adopted a piece of technology, then it would be updated and they'd have to learn again. And there was this constant learning that you had to do. And every time you added a new piece of technology, there was another whole learning curve that you had to keep up to date on. So I found that true for me and a very interesting piece from our research.
Thank you, colleagues. Fran, would you like to add a little bit more details about your publication as well?
Well, my research was basically on the coaches' perceptions on how it may impact coaching going forward, the AI coach bots. And as with many industries, the coaching industry is not immune to the, you know, people being afraid, as Benita pointed out, of being replaced by AI. So interestingly, one of the findings of my research was that the coaches said that the most important thing in coaching and aspect is the human part of coaching, the human aspect, the connection we have with our clients. So an AI coach bot could potentially take over certain parts of the coaching, but there are essential elements of coaching that are uniquely human. And technically, the AI coach bots can perhaps ask better questions, more open-ended questions, and really focus, but they lay lacking in that human essence. So that was one of the main findings from my research.
Very exciting to hear, Fran. Thank you. So as all of us come together and start talking about AI and coaching, I think all of us are very well aware of coaching because our audience predominantly tend to be coaches. At the same time, let's ask the question, do we really understand AI? And most importantly, what do we refer to when we say AI in coaching? So we hear words like GPTs and then we hear AI chatbots. There are many words, and I am not an expert. So frankly speaking, I am all confused. So I would like to understand from our experts, as well as those who are joining us, if you have an understanding of what does it mean, how do we define AI in coaching, that would be amazing. So let me invite our panelists. What are your thoughts? How do we define AI in coaching?
So I will jump in there, Fernando. I think there are two aspects to AI in coaching. There's the one aspect where you've got the AI tools to assist your coaching practice, helping with scheduling, writing social media content. You've got that aspect of the AI, and then you've got the AI coach bots that are actually replicating or imitating a human coach. So asking the coaching questions, doing the goal setting. So that's how I see it, that there are these two facets. I don't know if any of the other panelists perhaps have something to add to that.
Love the way you brought in the admin side of things as well, Fran, because quite often, and it came out of our research, as Benita said, when people don't realize that they're actually using AI and other tools, all the way from, you know, diarizing things to analyzing recordings. If people are in the ICF world, mentor coaching can use things like Ray notes to analyze the percentage that the coaches spoke and the coachees spoke, but then also that piece around decision making, which it seems that some of these tools can support us with. The sort of, if coaching was here, here, and here in terms of real, you know, life purpose, deep development and values, then it can go here in terms of helping us with decision making. And as you said as well, Fran, that deeper piece is something that maybe the human side will, we believe, always be needed.
Yeah, it's thank you both for that. And I'll say that AI is artificial intelligence, quite simply. It's not human intelligence, it's artificial intelligence, and it has a broad scope, and it is a sector. It is technology, and it is changing faster than it makes my head spin to think about how fast it's changing. So Fernando, you said, how do we keep up with it? How do we know what's chat GPT and LLMs and agents it's phenomenal. I think it's really important. There's two things I really want to stress on this particular webinar and in this topic. One is that, yes, there's a fear it might take over coaching. It might. The world might explode also. We don't know. but we know that AI is becoming more intelligent, and it will be able to sense a lot of things, emotions, feelings, heart rates. There's all kinds of, there's more data coming out of AI than the average coach can handle in a call. But it is interesting data we can use, as Claire said, for mentoring. So there's lots of uses for it. So I say this because what I want to stress is right now, AI is developing at a quantum rate. And each of us as coaches, I believe, has a responsibility to have an awareness of what AI is and how we're going to use it. We may not know all the terms, but I think it's our professional, our ethical responsibility to decide how we're going to use it. And I also think it's way larger than that. AI is developing so quickly that I think the thing we need most is some governance around AI. And we need that from our professional coaching bodies. We need that from our governments. We need it from our legal systems. So it's, you know, can we keep current on all the acronyms? No. But we, as coaches, need to understand what's happening with AI. We need to attend webinars. We need to read research papers, books, so that we have a basic understanding of how we're going to use it. and that we can call for our professional bodies. I'll use the example of ICF. They have just released 2 papers on the use of AI. So, we as coaches need to advocate for those things. That's my rant for today.
Thank you, Benita. Very valuable. And so what I'm hearing is that we have some AI technology being developed, which can be used for all the support services that we need, the marketing piece, for an example, continued professional development, and so on. And then on the other hand side, we also have technology that can imitate the coach's role, and being in front of a client and actually conducting a coaching session. And I thought Benita raised a very important aspect where potentially a robot, if not AI, because of the ability to work faster than all of us, and also the ability to be able to use additional sensory, in this case, quite literally mechanical sensory, IT technology that they can censor our clients, and they would be able to, like, for an example, the heart rate. So that would enable them to gain a much deeper evaluation of what is happening. So it is where the word fear came up several times. So very much understandable there. Fran, you mentioned earlier that you focused on the AI bots. Can you help us understand about how closely can an AI bot imitate a human being at this point of time with the technology that we have?
Okay, so most of the AI coach bots are at the moment you typing, it's keyboard related, but there are some that are actually, they have the physical appearance of a human being. I know Coach Hub, for example, have Amy, which is a play on words. It's AIMY, so my AI, just back to front. When you see her, it it has the appearance of a human, and you can do voice coaching as well. So it has advanced quite a bit. And then you have some other platforms. There are a few of them. There's Fingerprint for Success. There's another. It's in Asia. There's I forget the name of the company right now off the top of my head, but with the coach bots where they have little icons and it's typing, but you can also have the human coach. So it's sort of a hybrid setup. If I recall the name, I'll type it in the chat.
Feel free to do that, Fran. Thank you. All right, so colleagues, as you're speaking and as you start to understand this technology, I remember this specific incident. A few weeks ago, I think we all are going through some kind of a transition at the moment. We all happen to be using Google for all the information that we need to find. And then some of us are slowly moving into talking to ChatGPT directly instead of going into Google, right? So, and also with the voice function, for an example, ChatGPT has, I tend to work and then keep talking to ChatGPT in the background. So at some point, I started to notice that every time when I have asked for some information from ChatGPT, and when I finish my sentence or the interaction with ChatGPT, I end up saying, thank you. And at some point, thank you very much, right? And then I realized I have never ever said thank you to Google. But why am I saying thank you to ChatGPT, right? So right there, because it imitates this voice, very kind, very regulated. At the same time, it interact with me really well, like the surprise points. It builds rapport very quickly. Now, these are skills that we have to embody and practice as professional coaches, but using an algorithm, the artificial intelligence is able to imitate our behavior in a way that influences us emotionally. And now this is something that we need to truly discuss. So what I did was, before I came here, that very moment, I started talking to ChatGPT about this. I asked, so when you speak, you kind of create an emotional reaction in me. Are you aware of this? And ChatGPT, yes, I am trained to do that. Then I asked, so don't you think that there may be some level of emotional dependency? And then, so that's when ChatGPT goes around and saying why it wouldn't be and so on. Then I ask, so what about someone who is socially isolated? They don't have enough interactions with, for an example, a human being, other people around them. And do you think that it might create dependency? So of course, ChatGPT says, yeah, that is one of the possibilities. However, and then it says a lot of other things. So that was scary for me. I mean, my behavior was scary for me when I started telling machine, thank you. I think there's courtesy and all of that, but there's a deeper layer of truth that we need to address as human beings. I thought that's important. So with that, colleagues, I would like to invite you to share your thoughts about some of the dangers, ethical practices particularly, and risks, unethical practices like bias algorithms. Can you talk a little bit about your findings, even your experiences?
Fernando, I just want you to know, I said that to my phone all the time. I say thank you. It's just a habit. I'm a Canadian. We're very polite, so we say thank you to everything. But it's a good point you bring up, and it's the and the dependency model. I think we can become dependent on anything. It doesn't matter what it is. You can say, "Oh, now I'm dependent on water. I have to drink water to live." Okay, yeah, right. So we have to be careful, I think, about how we phrase things. And oh, hi, James. And now I lost my train of thought. Was
Be careful where.
Hey,
Be careful where.
yeah, we have to be careful, because for sure AI, like anything else, can be used in very, very dangerous ways. Just like it can be used in very useful ways, and it can be used in very dangerous ways, which is why I emphasize again the need for governance with AI. And I was sharing this with Claire the other day, and I thought this was so fascinating. I was listening to a Gartner webinar on top AI trends. And I thought, oh, it'll be kind of interesting. I'll just check in on that. And their first topic that came up was avatars. And in my head, I'm thinking, avatars, are you kidding? That's a top 10 trend in AI. And then they went into it deeper and they said, think about this. If your company creates an avatar of you and uses it, do you control it? Do you have control over what it says? And I think of many CEOs, for example, who have an avatar and speak in 12 different languages, and they have no clue what they're saying. So this is going to go down further in organizations. And do you have control over it? Is it a risk? Is it ethical? There's lots of questions around that. And then the other question is, when my avatar is working, do I get paid? That was an interesting question. So, AI is so complex, and there's so many ways to think about it. And I'll stop there and turn it over to either Claire or Fran.
I'll go next. I've got myself off mute there. So the biases, absolutely, Fernando. That's one of the things. Equality is one of my values, and if you use a tool where the data that's there already has certain patterns, then what you put in is what you get out. And so equity, diversity, inclusion, they certainly, can be negatively at play here. And then another big one for me around ethics is, obviously, we all know this one. Where is the data stored? How long is it stored there? But also health and well-being, and especially mental health, because one of the premise of coaching is do good, do no harm. And how can an AI be monitored in terms of ensuring that element of ethical practice? And an interesting one, not so much to do with coaching, but on the news yesterday, where AI, in terms of IVF, and there's so many things that AI is supporting around medicine and, cancer diagnosis, etc. This one to do with IVF was the AI choosing the best sperm and the best egg to make the baby. And I go silent with that one because there's a million things bubbling around my head. Over to Fran. Oh, you on mute.
The classic case of you on mute. There are quite a few ethical issues to consider, and you've mentioned, Benita and Dr. Claire have mentioned a few, the AI biases and other things related to ethics and the AI. But in addition to that, you have, there was a case in Belgium a few years back where it wasn't a coach bot, but the person committed suicide because of a conversation and the dependency on a chatbot. It was Pierre, I think his name was, I forget exactly the case, but it shows you how people can be influenced by technology and negatively influenced. And these are things that we have to be aware of. The other thing is the dependency on the AI was mentioned, and where people are sort of have the feeling that it's a human, they interact like you said earlier. You say thank you to the AI when you've asked it a question or when it's answered you, and it's the interaction becomes very human-like. And these are things that we have to be aware of. And of course, as reiterated by Benita about the governance, that we have to monitor AI. There should be legislations and rules in place. And the ICF have just recently published the paper, and it's on the ICF, and the EMCC are working on one in terms of the coaching industry. And then, of course, we've got our governments and things, but it's moving so fast. How do you keep up? And how are you going to control it? So I think it's definitely up to the coach to also be very transparent with their clients when they are using AI. Put it in the coaching contract. Be open and honest with your clients and give them the choice. Say, you know, I want to record it, or I want to transcribe this session using AI. And I think definitely the client has to be aware, and it has to be transparent all the time.
Thank you, Fran. Over to you, Benita.
Yeah, so I just want to go that one step further. I think it's important for our professional bodies and our governments to have some governance around how AI is used. But I think it also goes to us as individuals, as coaches, but to organizations, to companies, that they need to have governance around how AI is used in their organization also. So AI is complex. It's never, there's never a simple answer, but that probably has more to do with the world we live in today than just AI. And one of the benefits that I see for, there's lots and lots of benefits of AI, just as there's lots and lots of risks. But for coaches, many coaches are small business owners. We have, maybe we have less than 100 employees for sure, mostly. And, sometimes we have maybe 10 employees. But because of AI, we can look like a really big company. So there's advantages for us as coaches from a marketing and a presence perspective. But again, that's one piece of AI. That's not AI in its totality. And also, I think it's probably impossible for an individual who's not a technologist or not someone who's developing AI to understand it and keep up with it. I don't know that we'll ever keep up with all of it. It's moving too fast and too quick. It's not my specialty, but I still need to know about it. It'd be like saying I'm not a therapist, but I need to be aware of therapy as a coach. And I need to be clear with my clients. I am, as Fran said, We need to tell them when we're using AI. We need to tell them we're not therapists or we are therapists and we're going to switch modes. So, you know, there's a lot of ethical standards from a coach's perspective, but not to be so afraid of it, that not to realize the benefits we can get from it.
Thank you, Benita. I think as we continue this conversation, so we are starting to recognize that as any other powerful tool, we have both opportunities. One side, it can be dangerous, and on the other hand side, it can be extremely valuable. I mean, the technology that we are using right now is backed by AI, and then we are able to have this conversation. So it is also important, as much as we realistically look at the potential fears and dangers, we also recognize the power of it and how it can strengthen what we do and create impact. And also come to think of colleagues, like for an example, if you're in the space of consulting, coaching, and therapy, for an example, if we look at the service that we provide, we are all aware within our capacity as professional coaches that there's a limit that we can work with actual real world coaching. In other words, we only can say a limited number of clients, because this is a deep practice. We build an authentic connection with our clients, and then we go really deep into a relationship with our clients. Now, because of this reason, and we also, on top of that, we also understand that even if you look at the accredited coaches, number of coaches in the world, and if you compare it with the human population, we understand that there's a huge gap. Then on the other hand side, if we could create the right policies and control AI in such a way, and then make it available at a fees, if not an investment that majority of the people can access, then we understand how powerful it would be for all of us as a civilization, being able to have a coach in our mobile phone, for an example. At the same time, however, we as professional coaches, this being our profession, we have another layer to think about. So I think this is probably the most important question that we are invited to discuss this in this conversation. So experts, based on your findings, what do you see, or how do you see the AI technology is going to truly impact individual coaches like you and me? And I'm not necessarily inviting you to share your perspectives, just only focusing now, but also maybe the next 10 years, even next 20 years. How do you find it, at least for yourself?
So I'll just begin, is that I don't think that we can even guess at what the impact is going to be 10 years from now. I think that's not even possible when we're talking about AI, which I find interesting. It's like setting a business plan. When I started working 100,000 years ago, we could set 20-year business plans with the absolutely sure we knew what we were doing. And today you're lucky if you can send a 2 to 3 year business plan, because things are changing too quickly, and AI will speed that up again even more. So I don't think we can know, but I think there's a difference. AI is going to take over some coaching. Yes, that's going to happen. Is it going to take over all coaching forever? What I find is that younger people are very comfortable talking to a chat bot in my area of the world. They work with computers all the time. They're fine, just fine to go on the computer, ask a few questions, get a few answers. When it gets to really complex situations, not yet. The chat bot cannot keep up yet, but that's going to change. I think what will differentiate is some people will want to work with the human and some people will want to work with AI. I don't think it'll be about capability. I think it'll be about our personal preference. Just my guess. I'll turn it over to Fran or Claire.
I'd like to elaborate on what Benita's saying, because I'm of a similar opinion, and what I also saw with the research that's out there already, and what we have is, I think there are going to be different scenarios. You're going to have the human coach, you're going to have the chatbot coach, and you're going to have hybrid scenarios where there's a combination of the two. And I think ultimately it will be up to the coach and up to the client which they prefer. And if you'd like to compare it to, let's say, training right now, you have clients, people that want to do online training. You've got people that prefer to do pre-recorded trainings. There are others that want to do in-person training. And I think this is a similar, we can compare the AI and coaching in a similar way. Is that they're going to be trainers or coaches that prefer to deliver it in a certain way and to interact in a certain way, and they're going to be clients. And as Benita said, we don't know what the future holds and what's going to happen, but generally people that are growing up with it are probably more open to explore and to go that route, but we don't know.
Where I'm going with this one is, you know, when you think of the triangle of project management, so thinking about time, balancing that with quality and also cost and even inclusion. Can more people get access to coaching when it's possible in different ways? And I'm also thinking, I did a session I do some work for Henley Business School, did a session, and there was probably about 300 on, and there was a lot of really good commendations in terms of the tools that I was showing them, and we played with them a little bit. And there was one lady, and it's always interesting because also the one lady sticks in my mind more. And there was one lady who messaged me later. I had to leave. I couldn't stand it. It was moving too fast and driving me crazy. She's not ready yet. And so there's also that piece around, just like when we work with teams, enabling them to take turns talking, that piece around the learning before we use it is really important. So using things in team coaching, such as a Miro or Jamboard for retrospectives, where everyone, a dispersed team, can join in online and they can all move about and give opinions at the same time, even in silence with sticky notes, really useful for a team of teams when the numbers are bigger. Then these things are great because they aid reflection, aid communication. And I'm really for, and I know Benita is, and Franz mentioned it as well, hybrid. So using the best of what's there that we're comfortable with and that our clients are comfortable with. But at the end of the day, I really go back to the foundations where we can have a powerful question, great, but isn't it about powerful questioning and the way that it's done? Because that is what has the impact.
Thank you, Dr. Claire, and thank you, panelists, for sharing your thoughts. It's really, I think it's a topic that we can continue to discuss, and by the time we have concluded the discussion, the technology may have changed already because it's learning very fast. So that's what I'm hearing from you as you're sharing, and it's a very interesting place to be. And I think with that, to be more pragmatic and practical, as we're understanding these uncontrollable realities that we live in, if I may invite you to give us some insights or advice as professional coaches, what can we do now, like right now, in order to harmoniously ride this wave that's coming towards us, if not already carrying us further?
So I will reiterate what I said before, is that I really think as professional coaches that we need to educate ourselves. We don't need to be experts in technology, but it's really important that you educate yourself on what's happening in the world of AI and what are you comfortable with. And I want to connect that to coaching competencies. As we progress in our coaching competencies, we get more comfortable with not knowing. And isn't AI just the most beautiful thing for helping us to get comfortable with that? Because it's not knowing. And, you know, it's a coaching competency that we can also apply to technology. We don't know where it's going. I don't know many times where a coaching conversation is going. It doesn't mean I'm afraid of it and I don't do it, right? So there can be some really interesting connections with our competencies and our skills as a coach and how we view AI.
I'm thinking as well of, we need to look after ourselves and look after each other as professionals. I'm feeling that things like indemnity insurance, I don't know if mine includes the use of AI in my coaching, and I'm going to check it out. But also imposter syndrome, nervous to try anything around this because not expert, or also fear of missing out, guilty. Yeah, I want to attend all the webinars on this, and then that's not good for our mental health either, is it? So my advice would be take a few, master a few little things, and slowly.
Thank you, Dr. Claire. Fran, over to you.
Yes, and to reiterate that, I think education is one of the key aspects. Educate yourself and see how much you want to use it or not use it in your coaching practice. And I think, but also I'd like to say, be aware that it's not perfect. Not yet. We don't know where it's going, but it's not perfect. So not to be 100% reliant or 100% trusting of the AI and you can test it out even with a simple AI like ChatGPT. Sometimes it's not giving you accurate responses. So in the coaching environment, also be aware that it's not 100% foolproof. So I think coaches not to rely totally on the competencies that the AI is telling you, this is the way to ask this question, or this is the way to do that, because there are flaws in it currently. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow at the moment. So be aware of that when you're using it in your practice.
Fernando, just to chip in there, I think it was 5 days ago on the news that Facebook said they're going to stop fact checking because the fact checking is coming too political. So it's massive.
Yeah, and facts and political in the same statement. That makes me laugh. Just my personal opinion, though. Yeah. And I would also like to loop back to what Claire said in the beginning, in that I think what was really important is to start to embed an understanding of AI in coaching education, because that's where it starts for coaches. So let's embed it where they start learning about coaching.
Brilliant.
If I can jump in there, in my research, there were actually 3 coaches that are involved in coach training, and they all said that, the AI can check, really evaluate the coach trainee. Are these open-ended questions? What competencies are ticked in this particular coaching session? What was met, what wasn't? The AI can analyze that, and super fast.
Thank you, panelists. So as we still have about another 10 minutes. So I am wondering if any of our audience, any of you, if you have any burning questions or any insight, especially with some of your experiences with AI, would you like to share with us? Please feel free to turn on your microphone and come forward if you have something that you believe that would be valuable to our discussion. And also with that, I would like to invite all of you to fill up this form for your CCE unit so that we can have it sent to all of you within the next 10 days. All right. And Dr. Claire, I have enabled screen sharing. You mentioned that you would like to share some resources. Would you please take the opportunity and go ahead?
Sure. So just as a 2-minute sort of synopsis or summary of what you've got from this session, this is a tool by Wamba called Dream.ai. I think it's still one of my favorites. And what we can do here at the end of a one-on-one group or team coaching session is ask those who've been coached to share some words of learning or as a summary of the session. So I invite a few people either shout out, I'll have to type carefully, or put it in the chat, something that you're reflecting on or taking away from this session, and then it will create a unique image for us encapsulating that collective learning. Anyone, any words?
I'd start with mind blown.
I'll
Thank you.
add curiosity.
I'm going to say ethics.
Personal connection.
Responsibility.
So just because of time, we'll stop there. And basically, I'm on the paid version. You have more options of the styles of images you can choose, but I'm going to go randomly for whimsical, and we see what it creates. When there are a lot of people on together, it can take a bit longer. And then you can download these images. So that's the, oh, I like the top right one. That's the one it's come up with us today. And then your client can save it and they can see how the images also change over time across their different sessions. I'll save it and send it to you, Fernando.
Thank you, Dr. Claire. It's a very fun activity, and thank you for inviting us to a little lighter energy like this. Really appreciate. So our panelists, then before we say goodbye today, I think there is an important question that we could address as responsible professionals. What I mean by that is often when there's a movement in the world, we often think that either government needs to do something, the specific authorities need to do something, and often we don't see that we as part of the society, part of the global community, that we also have a voice, we also have capacity to do something of what is happening right now. So if you look at what is happening directly in our profession, which affects us directly, Benita, Dr. Claire and Fran, all three of you mentioned the importance of governance, policies, and governments, and even the coaching accreditation organizations getting involved. Now, if we say ICF, for an example, who is ICF? ICF is actually us. We come together and we create this federation. So I believe individually, each and every one of us have some responsibility and capacity to do something about this movement that we have to catch up with, because it's happening very fast. So if I may invite our panelists to provide us with some insights and even advice, what can we as individuals could do to create a more safer, let's say, technology for our future generations, for an example?
It's an interesting question, Fernando. Thank you. I was reading a book recently called The Good Ancestor, and what they invited us to think about as good ancestors, and this is what you're asking us, is to think about every decision I make today, how does it impact 7 generations from now? So I think that would be a great question for us as coaches to ask ourselves, how I use AI today, how will that impact? We don't know the answer, but think about how will that impact 7 generations from now? So again, I think, the governance is important, but the advocacy, which is our responsibility, and our ethics is my answer to that.
Thank you, Benita.
I think, if I may add my opinion, is also be aware, educate yourself. I think you mentioned that before, and be aware of what's going on, what the pitfalls and what the advantages are of using it in your practice. Having your client's best interest at heart, isn't that part of coaching? Do what's best for the client, and in this scenario, also have a look what's best for your client, using AI or not using AI, and to go forward.
And I'm thinking, I'm not quite sure if it answers the question fully, but generative thinking, the ways that these tools can enable us all to create even better together.
Thank you, Dr. Claire. I think very valuable insights, and I am really mesmerized to see that how important it is that while the technology is being disrupted, how each individuals, we have also a responsibility to reflect and ask these important questions, because this directly affects us, affects our children, and affects the world. And we as professional coaches, it's important that we pave the right path for our future generations of coaches coming our way. All right, so with that, I really appreciate all the sharing from our expert panelists today, and those who are joining us. If you are wondering, did we actually answer questions, or did we create more questions for ourselves at the end of this session? So I am curious to learn how you found these valuable insights. So I invite our audience, all of you coaches, to feel free to send any of your greetings to our panelists today. And also, as we are concluding this session, I would like to invite Fran, Benita, and Dr. Claire, all three of you. What are some of your conclusive insights you'd like to share with us? Over to you.
Well, I'll just try to keep with the flow. I've always gone first. I'll go first again. I love what Fran and what Claire have said. And Claire, I think you ended with better together. What can we do together to make it better? And again, I'll emphasize that for me, that's it. We have to do that. We as coaches have to take control and help guide how that's going to be used in our industry.
Thank you, Benita. I think like in this case, like this is what I'm doing. This is the power I have, creating that dialogue and bringing in extremely distinguished and experienced professionals like you. So I think that can be a thought for all of us. How do we make that little mark of ourselves? Thank you, Benita. And then bringing the collective consciousness, the coming together as professionals. Thank you. Over to you, Dr. Claire.
Same theme, really. Let's all share. And if one of us finds a tool, let's share that with others so all of our clients can benefit.
Brilliant. Thank you. Fran, over to you. Unmute yourself, please.
Second time. Apologies. I think having a coaching mindset and thinking how we approach coaching is to approach the use of AI in the same way. We don't know all the answers. We don't know, to be curious, and at the same time, be aware of the ethical principles, ethical guidelines. What do we need to be aware of? And come with curiosity and continuous development. Always look how you're going to develop yourself as a coach. Also look at how the technology can develop you as a coach or not. It's up to you to decide whether you want to embrace it or not. But the awareness is key. Know what is out there. Even if you're not going to use it, be aware of what is happening around you. Thank you. Thank you, Fernando, and thank you to everybody else on the panel as well.
Thank you, Fran. So everyone joining us, I would like to thank you once again sincerely for co-creating this time together, and I hope this is valuable. And I look forward to welcoming you into the future Ignite Global webinars and look forward to bringing some interesting topics, and always appreciate you joining us live, and also those who are watching this video at a later time. I would like to say hi to you. Leave any ideas, insights that come up for you in the chat or the comment section. With that, I would like to once again say very, very deeply thank Benita, Dr. Claire, and Fran for joining us tonight and helping us understand, expand our awareness, and also create some intentional few actions that we can actually move forward with. With that, I wish all of you a wonderful, magnificent year ahead, and I believe that we all thrive together and look forward to continue our co-creation. Thank you.